So what I did when I was at uni is I put my hand up for like every opportunity.
And where did you think your career would go at that point in your life?
I always talk to my team about internal marketing. Anyone who works in sports knows how important the government relationships are. It was a great game of footy.
We're going to dive into our Q&A now. We've got Veronica Steer here from the AFL, marketing manager. Can you please put your hands together for Veronica?
Thank you.
Veronica, thanks for coming along tonight. Do you mind kicking us off just by telling everyone what do you do in your role at the AFL?
Yeah, okay. So marketing manager in what we call the Fan Hub, which is an effort by the AFL to grow the game in Sydney and southeast Queensland. Primarily working with the lovely Giants up the back and the Sydney Swans. I can't see too many people here from them. But yeah, and then growing participation numbers as well. So our grassroots footy, making sure that's really strong.
Amazing. How long have you been in this role for?
Just under 2 years. I think my work anniversary is end of July.
Nice. So they're throwing you a party, I assume? Wonderful. Well, I'm going to have a chat with Veronica and there'll be a chance for questions from the floor later on. But we love to start every interview at SportsGrad with a few quickfire questions just to get to know you a bit better. So the first one is, what inspired you to work in the sports industry?
I think like a lot of people, I really love the community that sports brings. It's a really fun job. It's not hard to get out of bed in the morning and roll into something where there's so much energy and passion. I think sport's something quite natural for me as well to be involved in, so yeah.
What was your first ever sports related job?
Yeah, so I, back in the day, used to work for Blacktown City Council and I did all their events and marketing for their high performance centre, which is now called the Best Centre, which is quite nice. So the Giants used to play out there. There's a few AFLW matches out there now. There's a lot of cricket content, baseball, yeah.
And do you have a book or podcast recommendation that's helped you at work?
Yeah, so my two things that I always go back to, number one, Atomic Habits. I know that's probably a cliche, but it's definitely helped me every time I've struggled to get into a routine or a habit or break a habit. That one's a good one. And then I love Admission, who, it has Russell from the Gruen transfer, if anyone's watched that on ABC.
Russell Howcroft?
Yeah. That's a really good one as well, just to know what's happening in the world of marketing and advertising.
Awesome. I was chatting with Jason Russell-Jones from Rugby Australia today, who was going to come. He usually comes to these events, and he mentioned Atomic Habits as well. So you're onto a good thing there. And if you could try anybody else's job in sports just for one day, whose would it be and why? And are they in this room?
No, I don't think so. I reckon it'd be really fun to be, I don't actually know if it would be fun, it'd probably be quite stressful. Formula one of the radio, box, that would be, I think it'd be really cool just to get the inner workings, understand the tyre strategy, still no idea what's happening there, whether they go hard, medium or soft, but yeah, I think that'd be really fun.
Quick one, have you got your eye on a future in sport? If you're ready to transform the industry, then perhaps get ready to study with Deakin and prepare yourself to redefine what it means to work in sport. That's what I did at least. Deakin School of Exercise and Nutrition Sciences is ranked #1 in the world. Pretty cool, hey? So if you want to turn your passion for sport into an impactful career, get ready to push the limits of exercise science, sport coaching, sport development, sport management, nutrition sciences, physical education, and more. You can do it all at Deakin. Apply now and study at Deakin University.
Let's go back to the start of your career, because you came out of a law and comms degree and now you're in sport. When you were back in uni, did you think sport was an option, and where did you think your career would go at that point in your life?
To be honest, when I was at uni, I had no idea where I wanted to end up. I think it was a pretty tough job market that I was graduating into. So they liked the R word, so that was another word that was kind of thrown around as I was graduating. So what I did when I was at uni is I put my hand up for every opportunity, did as many internships as I could, did exchange a couple of times, just kind of threw myself into everything. And then when I graduated, I was like, okay, what are my options again? I didn't really set too many things in stone.
And so where did your career go first before sport?
Oh, sorry. Second part of the question. So I did a lot of work as paralegal, and I did that pretty consistently through uni. And then I kind of got to my last semester of law, and I really enjoyed studying law, but the reality of working in law just wasn't for me. It's still very useful. I do a lot of contracts still, but just not for me. Yeah, I just didn't really want to be a lawyer. Sorry if there's any lawyers in the room.
There are a few, but they're here because they want to swap.
Yeah, I understand.
And so how did law take you towards marketing? Where did that come in?
I think just, again, keeping my options open at uni. So I did law internships and I did marketing internships. So when I graduated, I had the skill set to apply for whatever role came up and I was kind of attracted to.
So your first marketing job was at the council role?
Blacktown Council, yeah. I think it was like events and communications officer. It was, back in the day, it was pretty cute.
And so when you went for the role at the AFL, what was it about your previous experience in council or anything you'd done in the law profession before that they took a liking to that ultimately got you selected in the AFL?
Yeah, so I think the AFL role, when I went for it, they were looking for someone who didn't have sports experience and didn't have AFL experience. They were really looking for someone who had an outside lens. I have done a lot through my career. I've worked across all levels of government. I have a very good understanding on how the sport and government relationship works. I worked at the AIS or Sport Australia for a while as well. And so when I saw the job pop up, I think this is a female thing as well. You feel like you have to hit every single criteria on the application. And I remember going through and being like, yep, I have experience on all of these things. And I think that's come from having a very varied experience outside of sport, being comfortable to step away, perhaps if you're like, okay, I want to sharpen this skill set and really hone on this skill for a year, and then come back to it when the time's right.
Your knowledge of the government relations space in New South Wales, did that play into the fact that they wanted you in the AFL in New South Wales in a growing market, and government support is an important part of growing the game here? Yeah,
definitely. I think anyone who works in sports knows how important the government relationships are. Just advocating for facilities, programs, they unlock a lot of opportunities with schools and all of those networks. So yeah, you pretty much need it for your role.
So what's a big overarching goal for your department at the moment that you guys are all collectively working together towards?
We like to say we don't make our own KPIs and we kind of look at the business as a whole. So the AFL is pretty ambitious and wants to be, it wants to grow in Sydney. I think AFL is pretty dominant in a lot of other states and we're not quite there in Sydney. It's a very crowded market. Obviously the Giants are still a youngish club, but they're growing rapidly, so supporting them as well. And the other thing is AFL wants to be Australia's game and we really want to love and connect with Australians. So the landscape of Australia is changing rapidly as well, so just being really attuned to that as well.
Other than letting Jacob Gaynor do his thing on social, what does supporting the Giants look like?
Well, we have a game this Sunday. It's the Giants Kids Round. If anyone wants to head along, just go grab Darcy up the back, Mr. Tickets. He'll sort you out. Might even give you a tour of Giants HQ while he's there. But we have been working really closely with the team to move our Auskick and junior footy competition out there for the day. So we're calling it a Giant Day Out. All the kids get to play their games there. They get medals. We're doing a march from the ground to the stadium with the marching band, and then they all get to do a lap of honour at half time. So it's a really beautiful way to connect back to the community, growing fandom. I'm sure it's a moment that those kids will really remember for the rest of their life as well.
Amazing. At one of our previous events, we heard about how the AFL was supporting schools with a PE teacher teaching AFL. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is that still going, and how is it progressing?
Yeah, so it's called our AFL School Connect. We have 2 teachers, one in Hurstville, one in Parramatta, and that again is about the changing landscape of Australia and bringing sport to more students, but also the public school system is quite underfunded and sport sometimes is the first thing to go, and the AFL recognise that, so they've committed a full-time PE resource. They service 5 schools each, so they're out there for a day teaching PE curriculum, getting kids active, keeping physical literacy front of mind. So it's a really great program, it's doing really well. We do get them out to Giants and Swans games occasionally as well, so building that connection back with the club too.
Amazing. And what's the biggest challenge that you and your department faces at the moment in terms of growing the game in New South Wales?
I think it's just a really crowded market and people are really busy. I think they're the two things. Just getting attention span is hard. I know personally I have probably 10 seconds. So yeah, it's a very crowded market.
I heard all about rugby's plans today to grow as well, so it is getting more crowded as well. What about in terms of challenges with the industry and from an employment point of view and breaking into it? What challenge do you think exists there that you've faced or you've seen others face?
Like, it's obviously very competitive. I'm recruiting at the moment and we do get really strong applicants, really varied applicants as well. Like, it's hard to have that edge to stand out. In saying that, there are plenty of opportunities. The AFL has a graduation, like a grad program. You do have to move to Melbourne, but that's open at the moment if anyone wants to apply. But yeah, like, I think just put yourself out there, reach out to people, build those connections. I think also don't be afraid to ask to shadow people or volunteer at an event and kind of get a feel for whether the organisation or the role's right for you. Like, your whole business model basically is that. So yeah, I think everyone in this room is kind of on the money on what they need to do to crack in.
You mentioned those roles are red hot. How many people would you get typically applying for roles at the AFL?
So I have a graphic designer and a videographer role open at the moment. If anyone in the room has those specific skill sets, feel free to pop in and out. But around 150 applicants per role. And I would say usually, again, what people really want to work in sports, so they're really high caliber applicants as well. So yeah, very competitive, and it's a tough decision every time to find or choose a person to be in your team.
Can you recall a recent hire that you made that was outstanding, and what was it that was outstanding about them that made you select them?
Yeah, so we do have a new hire in our team. They've been there maybe 6 weeks. They actually came from PwC and had a lot of corporate knowledge, had worked across a lot of different businesses and teams and different models of growth and scale, and was like really familiar with that. So that's really attractive to the sport because we don't always have the resources that big business does. So if you can find someone with those kind of skill sets, it's gold.
Is that a trend you see emerging in terms of the type of people coming in terms of what it might have traditionally been? I
definitely think so. Like, I think diversified experience is really attractive. I think also people looking for career changes, I think that's also really good. Just anything that's a bit different.
And what's the culture like at the AFL in terms of a work environment? Because you guys are kind of separated from the main HQ down in Melbourne. What's it like working for the AFL in Sydney?
I think it's really collaborative. Even though we do have like state offices, we're still really plugged into HQ. HR does a really good job of ensuring when you're onboarded that you do feel like you belong to the Melbourne team as well. It's not just the VFL. We fly every new starter down for a 2-day induction. So you're in the room with 100 people that are starting at the same time as you. You get to build those connections, and yeah, it's really great.
And you were mentioning to me before that you got game development roles as well. We've got a few people here fresh out of uni or going through uni at the moment that might be applicable to them. What's the process to landing those jobs like? No
experience needed. You just need to have a good energy, have a good attitude, be keen to learn, and yeah.
What does that look like in practice to you? Because I know, like, for someone listening to that being like, oh, how do I show good energy? Like, you know, have you seen that done well in an interview process at the AFL?
Yeah, sure. So coming prepared, coming with questions, but then I think also coming with solutions. Having a bit of an understanding, maybe reaching out ahead of time, asking how you can prepare for the interview, or reaching out to someone in a similar role as well is always helpful.
Amazing. We've got plenty of people here. I'm sure there's plenty of questions that you guys want to ask. So I'll give you guys a chance to think about what you want to ask Veronica in just a sec. But before I throw it open, what is exciting you at the moment that's coming up at the AFL in the future that you guys are working on?
I think one project that is really exciting for myself personally is we're launching Superkick in Sydney. So AusKick has been around for 20 years, celebrated its, 20 years or 30 years, one of those. It celebrated its birthday this year, I should know. Just having a mental break, sorry guys. But Superkick is that next step. So we found a lot of people aren't quite ready for community footy. It's maybe a bit too rough. So Superkick, non-contact, but a level up, so targeting those 8 to 12-year-olds. And we're doing a launch with Luna Park Sydney in July. And I think my favourite part about it is the competition or campaign is you and your buddy create a little TikTok dance, and then the best TikTok dancers win a chance to go to the Superkick launch. So that was a really fun one because I don't think we've done anything like that before. So that was really exciting, and I'm keen to see how it goes.
One more from me before we throw it open, but talk to us about round 0, because I know there was a lot of commentary from the outside, but was that a success from the inside? Because I think until you actually understand like what is a goal and what was an idea designed to try and achieve, it's impossible to judge if it was actually good or not. So internally from the AFL's point of view, like how was round 0 from your guys' point of view? Like
it definitely had its challenges, particularly with the cyclone. That wasn't a cyclone in Queensland. But I think anything that gives the Sydney clubs a bit more airtime is really crucial. I think I don't know what it will evolve into, whether it's similar to like a gather round or I can't speak to that, sorry guys, I don't have any insider knowledge on that, but from my perspective I loved it. I had content in Sydney, so as a punter I had a great time. I'm glad it was good up here. I know the Victorian bubble was a bit critical, but I'm glad it worked up here. I have no idea what the mood was in Victoria. I was just
they're salty about anything that leaves Victoria. So
I was just enjoying having content all weekend. So yeah,
it looked like fun. Awesome guys. Well, if you got a question for Veronica, feel free to raise your hand and we'll pass the mic around.
I suppose just piggybacking off the round 0 chat, was there anything in particular? Because I always thought it was I was like, wouldn't you do it the week earlier when NRL's in Vegas? And then so that way you've got even more. But is that was the grounds not available, or was there some sort of commercial reason why you couldn't do that?
I'm going to be so honest with you guys, I have no idea. I assume so. I know as much as you, but you're still competing for airtime while the NRL's in Vegas. Yes, they're not physically here, but everyone's still tuning in, so maybe it was strategic, I'm not sure.
Hey Veronica, I just had a question regarding potential international exposure within the AFL. Obviously, NRL, football, basketball, they're all quite known internationally. AFL, whilst it's amazing to see it grow here, would there ever be any plans to maybe take it elsewhere, like how the gentleman before mentioned about the NRL being played in Vegas to expose the league even more? Would potentially AFL ever consider doing more international stuff?
I'm sure they will. We do actually have AFL International, so we do play community competitions all around the world. Usually the expats, I think the rule is that you are allowed to play, it should be half and half, so half Australian, half bring a friend kind of thing. I'm not too close to that project, I'm sorry, but we are around a fair few countries, so I'm sure they have ambitions in the future as well.
We've got someone from AFL Europe speaking at the SportsGrad London event, so if you want to find out, come with me to London and we can answer a question.
Perfect. There you go. You will know.
I'm not sure if it's a slightly cliched question, but what's one underrated skill that every marketing manager should have getting into that role?
I reckon everyone would be surprised at how much you have to sell yourself. I always talk to my team about internal marketing, so explaining to everyone what you're doing, what the return on investment is. I think it's actually quite analytical and data driven. Every dollar you spend, you need to show the return on investment on that. So I would say that, if you don't like maths, I'm sorry, you will have to do a lot of it. So yeah, I would say that's one that probably catches a lot of people off guard, just reporting and justifying why we did certain things.
My question is just around, obviously you're at the AFL level, kind of driving that growth in Swans, Giants, do you guys look beneath into like the actual clubs that are beneath them as well, or is that the job of the Giants and Swans to kind of, from a marketing point of view?
Do you mean our community footy clubs?
Yeah.
Yeah, so work really closely with our community footy clubs as well. We have 44 across Sydney. So a big project my team did was combining our AFL Play brand, which is our participation brand, but then anything I would say non-elite goes under Play. So we combined the AFL Play brand with all of our junior footy brands look and feel. So that was around 2,000 assets for my team to create, and merging a local club's identity with like an AFL Play brand, I think really elevated their assets and their credibility. And yeah, we do a lot of work with our junior footy clubs and supporting them as well.
Hi Veronica, just a question in terms of fan engagement. So when you deliver campaigns and events like Auskick, how do you tell when it really resonates beyond just the numbers with those fans?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think my favourite is occasionally you get these random emails in like a generic inbox from someone's mum just saying their kid had the best time and they made new friends. Like you can look at attendance numbers, you can look at retention as in people that are returning. But yeah, just getting those little like emails about making some kids' day and how they had the best time, I think they're the things that you kind of really hold on to.
What's the most underrated channel that you use to both reach and then convert prospective fans?
I would say actually it's probably word of mouth is probably the most important. But the most fun, I will probably say, I love TikTok at the moment. I think it's really fun and I'm enjoying what we can do there. But yeah, I think word of mouth is crucial.
I would also add LinkedIn.
Oh, sorry,
You guys can get more active on LinkedIn.
Make sure you post about this event on LinkedIn.
We will. And can you guys change your name? Like AFL-Australia Football League is really hard to tag every time.
I'll let HR know.
Awesome. Any other questions, guys? Yep, Adrian.
I know that it's Sydney, AFL in Sydney is obviously pushing nines, AFL nines. I'm involved in that a fair bit. Can you talk to the way you see that going and how that can help grow the game here?
Yeah, I love AFL nines. I think it's a great product. Personally, I've never played AFL, so I only ever played AFL nines. I see it actually just not. At the moment, I think it's positioned as a extra for community footy players, or if they're in the off season to keep fit. I think it has the potential to be an always on product, more so in the sense that a social game that everyone can play. I'm not sure if this is a hot take. I'm not sure if nines is the right amount of people in a field, because 18 people is a lot sometimes. As someone who hasn't played footy, I find it a bit overwhelming, but I'm getting better. We're not here to talk about my footy skills though. So yeah, no, love nines. I think it has the potential to be much more. I will say as well, there's a couple of other people from the AFL here. So Caleb is up the back. He is in our fan engagement team, and so is Georgia next to him. And then we have Nikki, who's in our data team.
Before we let you go, do you have a pinch me moment from working in sport? Was there a particular time where you rocked up to work or rocked up to an event and you're like, my God, I can't believe this is my job?
I can't really, I know this is bad, I really can't think of just one. There's so many cool things that you do all the time, which is definitely a part of the appeal. But I think my favourite sport moment recently, and it was a bit sad because I am a Giants fan, but the prelim final last year with the Giants and the Swans, the SCG, I don't think I've ever seen such a loud Sydney crowd. Everyone was out of their seats, everyone was screaming. It was probably the best game of football I've ever seen. Not happy about the result personally, but it was a great game of footy.
Not the Giants Brisbane Lions a week later?
Ooh, that might be a sore point. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry for bringing that up, guys.
It's all right, they're coming back this year. They're just coming into form, right guys? Yeah, on track, yeah.
Very exciting.
This weekend's going to be great, yeah.
Awesome. Well, Veronica, thanks so much for coming up and joining us and sharing a bit about your journey and what you're going on in the AFL. So please put your hands together for Veronica from the AFL. Wonderful, guys. Well, we've got plenty of time to hang around, so please stick around, have a chat, meet some other people. But before you go off and grab another drink, I thought I'd share a bit about what we're doing at SportsGrad at the moment. These events are designed to help you guys connect and help you break into the sports industry if that's where you're at the moment. But one of the ways we're doing that more quickly is through this SportsGrad Method program that's been introduced this year. So we've got a few people from the program here tonight. I can see a few people. Chuck your hand up if you're in the program. Nice and high. Yep. Awesome. Wonderful. We've kicked that off this year, and it's been really awesome to see some of the results we've had from that. For example, at the start of the year, we had a bloke from Adelaide called Dante McDonald who was working across a couple of jobs, joined the program within a few weeks. He landed a role as a partnerships lead at Cricket Australia and packed up his bag and now moved to Melbourne and works in the shadows of the MCG and is loving that. And so it's been awesome to be able to help people quickly make that jump, and to see people like Catherine as well break into sport as well too has been awesome too. So if you do feel like you need a hand, feel free to have a chat about that if you need. We've also got a lot of young professionals working in sport here tonight. So I'd also like to mention that we're bringing back this community called SportsGrad Pro, which is a free community for people working full-time in sport. And to get into SportsGrad Pro, you either have to kind of like be an alumni of SportsGrad or an honorary SportsGrad member. So if you've been on the podcast, you've been on the panel, or if you've come to an event, you are an honorary SportsGrad member. So if you want to jump into that, what we're going to be organising is basically a monthly catch-up just to kind of give you guys more opportunities to come together and hang out. So it means, if you're working at the Roosters or the Giants or the Swans or Cricket New South Wales or whatever, and you want to connect with your counterparts and hear what's going on in the industry, you can do that. So look out for that if you guys are currently working. And if for those who want to work in sport, that's kind of what's on the other side of it too, which we'd love to help you with. So we don't just want to help people get jobs in sport. We want to help you change the trajectory of your career right the way through to whatever aspirations you have as well. So yeah, lots in the pipeline. But for now, thank you so much for coming. Hope you enjoyed tonight. Hope you met some fun people. And please stick around and keep chatting. Thank you.
Hey, last thing before you go. Everyone knows the sports industry is super competitive, so you might want to keep this to yourself. But every Monday, I send out an email called Shortcuts by SportsGrad. It takes 5 minutes to read, and it gives you everything you need to get an edge over other job hunters on a silver platter. Here you'll find exclusive job opportunities, networking events, and premium resources to get ahead. Again, it takes less than 5 minutes to read, and it's designed to help you get ahead and stay ahead. So if you want to receive the next one in your inbox, head to sportsgrad.com.au/newsletter. But as I mentioned, competition for jobs in sport is